Cinnamon applesauce is actually one of my go-to recipes when I have an excess of apples. It's great because not only do we like eating the applesauce itself, but it makes a great base for doing fruit leather later on. My first step is to use my apple core slicer peeler and prepare 21 pounds of apples because I like to do a full batch in my canner anytime that I do. 21 pounds is about what it takes. I really do like this little device. It makes it go so much faster. I've done it with just a knife before and that does work, but I mean, this is just so efficient. And it cuts them small enough that they cook down really easily. These are Cosmic Crisp apples, so they're slightly more tart and tend to not brown as easily. But if I had a quicker browning apple, then I would want to place these in some water with some lemon juice or some citric acid. For me, if I just make sure that I go fast, I'll be all right. Now, all of these I can either give to my chickens, pigs, alpacas, who eat it up like spaghetti, or I can actually use it to make an apple cider vinegar. So now I'll just go through and take all the rest of the skins off the apples, and if there's any, like this one that have some spots on them, I'll cut those out too, and if there's any bruising. These are ones that I got from an orchard, so there's gonna be a few more spots for me to pull out than say if I got it from the store. And then I just like to do one slice through my spiral because then that makes it so that the apples really lay down nicely in my pan for cooking down or softening up. And I actually have two separate pans today. Oh, and I have a couple seeds hiding in here. That's good, because then I can show you sometimes that apple core slicer peeler doesn't get the seeds, so I need to catch those as well. Not a big deal. So since this is such a big batch, I'll divide it between two different pans, and that'll make it go just a little bit faster, and I won't have to worry so much about the apples burning. With my apples all prepped, I'm going to add just a little bit of water to the bottom of the pan, anywhere from a half a cup to a cup, and that keeps the apples from scorching before they've had a chance to soften a little bit on the bottom and create their own juices. Then I'll place these on the stove and I'll stir them regularly because I want the apples really soft and ready to be put in my blender. I then place my softened apples in the blender and I'll blend them up to whatever consistency that you like. I actually like a really fine consistency. I don't know, maybe it was so many years like making applesauce for little babies that they could eat, but I like it smooth. If you like it chunky, just don't blend it as long. All right, and then I just pour it into a separate pot. This pot might not be big enough. I might have to pour it back into this one by the very end, but I only have so many large pots. So then I'll place everything back in the big pot. If I had a separate bigger pot like this, I could have just gone right into that one. That would be easier. I'll then add 2 cups of sugar and 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. If you don't like as strong of a cinnamon flavor, but just want it subtle, you could go as low as like 1 tablespoon. I like a pretty strong cinnamon taste. And then I just place this back on the stove and I'll let it simmer until it gets to the thickness that I want. It's actually pretty close right now, so it's not gonna take that long. I'll then fill my quart-sized jar up to 1/2 of an inch of headspace. Headspace is the space from the top of the food to the top of the jar. I really love that cinnamon smell, cinnamon taste, I mean cinnamon everything. Cinnamon rolls are one of my favorite. I have a video on that if you want to look at that. It is like the best recipe. I've never tried cinnamon rolls that I like so much. In fact, it's halfway ruined me for any other cinnamon rolls, so maybe you shouldn't try it, because now whenever I try a different cinnamon roll, I just compare it to that. It's a recipe that a Swedish friend of mine gave me, and it's so good. It's kind of like the chocolate issue. When I was pregnant with one of my kids, I craved chocolate like all the time. I mean, to the extent of going into the baking cupboard and scrounging out the last couple chocolate chips. And I got to the point where I tried so many different kinds of chocolate, especially since my husband's fabulous and he just would bring it home for me because he knew how much I was craving it. So now I don't want to eat cheap chocolate. It's got to be like a specific kind. And I got just a little too much in a couple of these and not enough in another. So I'll just adjust that. Then I use a chopstick to get out any pockets of air. Generally speaking, I don't have issues with it because I have such a smooth sauce, but occasionally there'll be some pockets in there. I then use a clean, damp cloth to clean off around the outside rim of the jar. This just makes it so that if there's any food that was on it, that it doesn't interfere with the seal. And then I place my lids and rings on fingertip tight. I'll place these in the boiling water bath and process them for 20 minutes if at sea level. I'm at 1,200 feet, so I'll go for 25. Now that it's at a boil, I'll set my timer. Now that the timer's gone off, I'll remove the lid and turn off the heat and let it cool for 5 minutes. I'll then take those out of the canner and put them on a heat-resistant surface about 1 to 2 inches apart so that they cool really well. I'll leave them there for 24 hours so that they can get a nice seal, and then I'll remove the ring and use hot soapy water to clean them. Then I'll store them in a cool, dry, dark location and use them in the next 1 to 3 years. It's just so good. It's like this basic staple, you know, of having the applesauce, but that addition of the cinnamon to it, great way to preserve apples.